Let's start animating the shoulder pads. The secondary motion we're going to be able to get from the shoulder pads are really going to improve the animation that much more. Let's go ahead and select the left shoulder pad to start out with. So what we're really looking for is, as the character is going into his down position here. So as the character moves down, and just focusing on the rotate Z to start out, we'll even look at the rotate Z function curve. On about frame, let's say 4, we'll go ahead and rotate the shoulder pad up, not much at all. Okay, again, just keeping in mind the follow through here. As the character is moving down, of course that plate is going to rotate up, and then we'll add a little bit of jiggle afterwards. So we'll go two frames back and we'll drop the pads down. Okay, not too much. And then 2 frames after that we can bring up the pads, less than what we did before. Perhaps we could even take this key and bring it up a little bit more, and then finish by going to frame 10 and zeroing that out just to see how this looks. So we'll hit play. Alright, great. So that's looking really nice. So what we can do from here is see if we can add another degree of rotation, perhaps even in the X. So let's go ahead and look at the side view for this. As the character is bringing his shoulder forward, on about frame 3, let's rotate the shoulder pad down. And then at about frame 7, we can rotate it back the opposite direction, not much, and we'll even look at our keys that we're setting. And then on frame 11, let's see what happens if we just zero out the rotate X there. Okay, so if we were to hit play, see how this is coming along. And we could even scrub through slowly to see it all come together, to see if we need to make any updates. I think that looks just fine. Okay, so really that's all we have to do for the left shoulder pad. Just add a little bit of jiggle to it. Nothing much at all. And then with that now done, keeping in mind the values that we used here, we can go ahead and bring this information now to the right side. So going to the right, being that we started with frame 4 for the left, we can start with frame 15 for the right. And first off, at the midpoint, we'll set a key of 0, okay, for both the X and the Z. And then as the character moves down on 15, we can bring up the shoulder pad. Then if you like, you can even go to the left shoulder pad, take the value here that we have of 23, go to the next, and put in the opposite amount. So that's going to be negative 23. And we can really use that to work efficiently. So for the key on frame 6, that's about a value of 6. So we can go 2 frames down and put that value in of 6. And that's of course going to be a negative 6. Okay. Or in fact it would be a positive 6. Okay, because this left side, looking at it, that was actually negative 6, and we're flipping our values around, so this is actually going to be positive 6. Okay, So that brings us to 2 more frames down, which is on frame 8, and that will be about a value of, let's say, 14. So in this case, it's going to be negative 14 on frame 19. So go to frame 19 and put in negative 14, which brings us to a value of 0 on frame 23, because it's about 0 when we get to frame 12. And even before that, but should be just fine. Let's go ahead and look at this control. Go back to the Z. Okay, and actually that should be just fine. We can hit play to see how it's all come together. All right, excellent. That looks good. So with that, let's say we add a little bit of rotate X to the mix. And again, we could just use our values. So going from frame 1, when we get to frame 3, you can see that the value is about close to 7.7. So that would bring us to frame 14. And we can put in that value of negative 7.7. Okay, and we'll look at this. I think we could even flip this to a value of 7.7. I think that would work well. Looking at this left shoulder pad, let's look at it, and as we do, you can see that yes, it's probably going to be best if we go ahead and use the same values here. So that's going to work out very nice. So on frame 7 we have about negative 12. So we'll go to about frame, let's say about frame 18, and put in the value of negative 12 as well for the X. And then going back to the left shoulder, we zero it out on frame 11. So at the right shoulder, we could possibly get away with just leaving it as is, since it's just a 1 frame difference. So if we were to go ahead and hit play, here's what we have. A nice jiggle now on the right side. Alright, great. So this would be a great time to just hide our curves and look at how this has come together. Great. We could even look at this in the back view, possibly the top view as well, and definitely a side view. Okay, great. So that finishes off our shoulder pads. So we just have one more section to do to finish off the run, and from there what we'll do is look through the animation again and make sure that there's nothing else we can fix before we call this finished. So in the next lesson we'll work on seeing if we can finish this run cycle.